What the f? Today we're going to be talking about Divinity Original Sin 2, so roll the intro.
Yeah. And I heard him say, nothing's ever promised tomorrow today. From the shy like Tim and Sahara way. So this is in the name of love like Robert say.
So then, Divinity 2 is an RPG in the vein of the classic D&D titles such as the now legendary Baldur's Gate. Imagine a 2017 take on it, if you will. The isometric viewpoint has been replaced with a 3D world but still feels largely the same. The combat still feels like the D&D games of old but has been expanded upon greatly. It's also fucking hard, and I'm not ashamed to say I turned the difficulty down on more than one occasion. I'm a bit like the fat kid everyone puts in goal when you have a kickabout as a kid. The enthusiasm is definitely there, I'm just not very good. So is the game decent? Well, no, it isn't. It's fucking amazing. This gem is quite possibly the most glued I've been to a game in a long time. I quite literally lost my weekend to this one. Starting at the character creation screen, you're greeted with a fair amount of races to try, most of which you'll have seen before in other fantasy type romps. There are a wealth of classes, however, each offering quite different playstyles, 14 to be exact, ranging from Battle Mage to Metamorph, Ranger to Knight. Each of these classes will evolve as you play, level up, learn new skills, etc, etc. My personal favourite thus far is the Rogue. There's a real emphasis on this class to smash high amounts of burst and GTFO. One of the cool features are the backstories you can choose from. These will act as a personal story that will develop as you progress through the game. My character, for example, is a former bard called Losa who has been possessed by something that will occasionally take control of her body. Nothing too bad to worry about there then.
All my life I've been a performer, a musician, beloved and celebrated by all. But I have a secret. I'm also a playground for sprites and spirits and worse. The voice that rings inside me now is darker than any that came before. Almost caused a bunch of my fans to rip each other to pieces. But you can trust me. I've got this under control. Step 1. Find out who, or what, is trying to take control of my mind. Step 2. Make it sorry it ever tried.
It's a cool feature and helps to flesh out your character. You can definitely bypass this altogether though. These backstories are purely optional. The game will, however, apply tags to your hero which will affect how they are viewed in the world. Your race, gender, class and skills can all potentially affect how someone may act towards you. Nothing overly groundbreaking, but definitely something that's effective at fleshing out the game world, adding to the immersion. One of the things I truly love about this game is how it doesn't hold your hand very much. For example, the starting area basically involves you being stuck on an island which you're going to need to escape from. I'll keep it spoiler free, but the way in which you escape is completely up to you. There are a lot of different routes you can take here. I personally found myself with at least 4 different ways of escape in the first area, and I'm certain there are several more at least. Just like in Baldur's Gate or Neverwinter Nights, you'll be able to recruit different followers into your party at different points in the game. Each come with their own backstories, goals, personalities, and how you interact with them will affect if they like you or think you're kind of a dick. I've tried to recruit those that would best complement the strengths and weaknesses of the group, but it always helps if they're interesting to have around. Thankfully, in this area the developers have excelled because I have yet to encounter a potential follower who bores me. They're all very different in terms of personality and motives, ranging from Ranger with a fearsome and shady reputation to a roguelike assassin who keeps the names of all her marks on her arm. The stories are obviously more deeper than I'm describing, but for the sake of spoilers, I won't go into too much detail. The combat in this game is also great. There are many effects and abilities that combo off of each other in ways I'm still learning about now. Oil leaking from a barrel can be lit up, igniting the battlefield. Water can be frozen or used to electrocute your enemies, for example. This adds a greater tactical layer onto what was already a very tactical combat system to begin with. Positioning and using your abilities at the right times are key here. On top of this, an enemy can have X amount of both magic and physical armor. In order to do meaningful damage to these enemies, that armor must be wiped out. Physical attacks will wipe out physical armor and vice versa. It's simple, but it really stops you from nuking down targets, and some fights can turn into something resembling chess. If the board was covered in poison and on fire, of course. All in all, this is one of the best RPGs I have ever played, and certainly the best since 2015's stellar The Witcher 3. The world really feels like your playground in Divinity 2. There is no set way to accomplish anything. You simply wade through the shitstorm and somehow you come out alive, ready for the next shitstorm to wade into. Or if you're like me, you wade into a shitstorm, die, reload, wade into shitstorm again, and hope you get it right this time. Around every corner is a person to offend, a secret to be pickpocketed, or a pig that's been magically set on fire and you have no idea why. This is what Divinity gives you, a world to explore and imprint your own personality onto it. This is what geeks have been doing for generations, grabbing some dice, creating an epic adventure and just letting their imaginations run with it. This is why this game is one of the greatest RPGs I've ever played. It feels like you're only limited by your own imagination. I had the choice to try and save a dying man early in the game. Instead, I opted to get him drunk, left him to die, came back later and robbed his shit. If this isn't what amazing RPGs are made of, then I really don't know what is. I actually think that Divinity makes a point about modern day open world game design. These big AAA titles offer you this massive open world experience and, excluding Witcher 3, they fill that sprawling world with repetitive, boring errands, fetch quests, kill this, receive this award kind of quests. We've seen it a million times. In Divinity, I assure you there is something around every corner. In one cave you'll find a spirit who likes throwing insults at you. In another you'll find a rat with tales of glorious adventure and grandeur. If you're a fan of this game genre, I strongly recommend you go for this one. It's up there with the best RPGs ever made. I don't know if I mentioned that the first time. Every few years a game comes along that leaves an imprint, becomes stuff of gaming folklore. I firmly believe Divinity Original Sin is one of those games. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on Divinity Original Sin 2. Let me know if you liked it, and just drop a little thumbs up on that badger, yeah? Thanks for watching, and happy hunting. I also apologise if you could hear me sniffing quite regularly throughout this video. The man flu is strong, but regardless, try the game. It's pretty sweet.